I'd like to begin this lesson with a warm-up. The problems are on your screen. I do not want you to solve the equations that you set up. I only want you to draw the pictures and set up the appropriate equations. Put your video on pause, and when you're done, press play for the answers. So here you can see I gave you the three types of problems there are for segment addition. We have the first problem, which is the piece plus piece equals the whole. When you are told that something is between 2 points, this is the type that you set up. For the second problem, it says that we have the midpoint and we're giving two smaller segments, so we set those segments equal. In the third type, we're giving that it's a midpoint, but we are given one small segment and one large segment. In that case, we set 2 times the small segment equal to the whole segment. Hope you got it right. If not, go back and check your work and figure out where you went wrong. So today what we're going to do is we are going to learn about pairs of angles. Our objectives are to identify and apply properties of adjacent and vertical angles. We are going to identify and apply properties of linear pairs. And we are going to identify and apply definitions of complementary and supplementary. The first thing we need to do is define some of these terms. Adjacent angles are two angles in the same plane with a common vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. Angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent angles. They are right next to each other. They share one vertex, and they share a common side. A linear pair is a pair of adjacent angles, but in this case, the non-common sides form opposite rays, so they are two angles that are adjacent and lie on a line. If you need more time to write these definitions, pause your video. The next thing that I would like for you to do is I'd like you to arrange these angles into their proper category. There are 3 categories here: adjacent, linear pair, and not adjacent. Of course, linear pairs are adjacent. However, I want the angles that are linear pairs to fall in this category. I want the most specific definition for them. Angles that are just adjacent should be in the other column. I'll get you started. So if you look at the measure, if you look at angle MYZ, MYZ is, hold on, MYZ is here. Oops, wrong marker. MYZ is here, and ZYK is here. Those are two angles. They're next to each other. They don't lie on a line, so those are adjacent angles. And they should be in this category right there. Please finish that up, and pause your video. When you're done, press play for the answers. Here's what you should have gotten. If you did not get this as your answer, double check your work and find your error. The next definitions I'd like to give you are complementary and supplementary. Complementary angles sum to 90 degrees. Their measures sum to 90 degrees. So angle A and angle B are complementary because 53 plus 37 is 90. Supplementary angles sum to 180. Angle A and angle C are supplementary because their 53 plus 127 is equal to 180. Pause your video if you need more time to copy those definitions. Vertical angles are two non-adjacent angles formed by intersecting lines. Angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. So vertical angles are right across from each other. Angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. And angle 2 and angle 4 are also vertical angles. They are not right next to each other. They're formed by intersecting lines, and they're across from each other. Pause your video if you need more time to write that definition down. Now, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to look at this diagram. I want you to identify all the pairs of complementary angles, all the pairs of supplementary angles, all the pairs of linear pairs, and all the vertical angles. Pause your video, do that, and when you're done, you can check your answer. Notice that I did not list angle E and angle G as being supplementary. I can't do that because I cannot assume any measurements of those angles. The only measurements that I know are the measurements that are given. If you did not get these answers correct, pause your video, check your work, and find your error. The next thing I would like to talk about is what is the complement of K when I am not given a measure here. Now, I want you to imagine that X is 20 degrees. The complement then would be 90 minus 20, or 70. If X was 40 degrees, the complement would be 90 minus 40, or 50 degrees. Now, I hope that you're getting the idea at this point, because when I want to find the complement of an angle when the measure is X, it's 90 minus X. Just like 70 is 90 minus 20, 50 is 90 minus 40. So there is the answer for that. Now, I want you to think for a little bit about what the supplement of an angle is with the measure X. It's very similar to what we just did. Pause your video when you're ready, click play. It should be 180 minus X. There is no equation to write, there is nothing to solve, it's simply an expression. Now, I want you to find the complement. Well, actually, I think we're going to do this together. The complement of angle F is 90 minus 59. So 90 minus 59 is 31. So the measure of angle F is 31 degrees. But the supplement of angle G is not going to end up with a number. The supplement of angle G is 180 minus the measure of angle G. The measure of angle G is 7x plus 10. Notice that I put this in parentheses. That's really important because when I simplify, I've got to distribute that negative sign. So 180 minus 7x minus 10. Now we'll combine like terms, and we'll have 170 minus 7x. In our next example, we're given an angle measures 12 degrees less than 3 times its supplement, and we want to find the measure of the angle. Now, this seems a little overwhelming until we start breaking things down a little bit. When I don't know the angle measure, I let the angle measure be x. X is my angle measure. Okay. Then I notice that it's talking about the supplement of that angle. So I'm going to write 180 minus x is the supplement. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and read what it says and write an equation. An angle measures 12 degrees less than 3 times its supplement. Let's see, I have to redo this a little bit. An angle measures 12 degrees less. Oops. Hold on. I was right the first time. Should not doubt myself. An angle measures 12 degrees less than 3 times its supplement. 3 times the supplement is 3 times the quantity, 180 minus x. 12 degrees less than that, I have to subtract the 12. Now, we got to solve for x. So I'm going to distribute the 3. That's 540 minus 3x minus 12. Now we'll combine like terms. Let's see here. That's 528 minus 3x, I hope. Let me check my work here. 8. Yep, that's correct. Now we're going to add 3x to both sides. Page down just a little bit here. That gives me 4x equals 528. And now I've got to divide both sides by 4. X equals 132. So the question was, find the measure of the angle. And the measure of the angle is 132 degrees. But if it had asked for the measure of the supplement, I would have had to go back and plug in. So break everything down, define what you're looking for, define your angle measure as x, and start writing out what the supplement is, what the complement is, whatever it's talking about. Write an equation and then solve it. Now, I want you guys to try this. Pause your video, and then when you're ready, click play for the answer. You should have gotten that the angle's measure is 70 degrees and the complement is 20. So just to make sure that you have the equation set up right, I have an angle, it's 10 degrees more, so x is my angle. It's 10 degrees more than 3 times the measure of its complement. The complement is 90 minus x. So my angle's measure is 10 degrees more than 3 times the complement. And then you need to solve that equation. If you didn't get the right answer still, go back and check your algebra because there's an error someplace. In our next example, we have 2 angles that are complementary, and we're given expressions for each of them, and we want to find the measure of both angles. So, if 2 angles are complementary, I know that they sum to 90 degrees. So I will add them up. And set it equal to 90. Now we'll combine like terms. 3x plus 5x is 8x. Minus 4 plus 6 is plus 2. That's 90. Subtract 2 from both sides. That gives me 88. Divide both sides by 8. X is 11. Now, it didn't ask me for what x is. It asked me for the measure of the angle. So I have to go back and substitute in. That would be 3 times 11 minus 4. So that's 33 minus 4. And then that would be 29 degrees for angle DEF. Angle FEG would be 5 times 11 plus 6. So that's 55 plus 6, or 61. You'll notice that when you add them together, I should get 96. And I do, thank goodness. Otherwise, I would have to go back and check my work. There'd be an error in my arithmetic. Now I want you to give this one a try. When you're ready, so pause your video. When you're ready, press play for the answers. And here are the answers if you did not get that.